Wow, what an awesome stage. Shall I go in the front? Well, I will stay here, it's in the shadow. It's safe, right? I mean, we have someone who we have to fight against, right? When we talk about human against machine. Sounds like a war, right? And some of the people also think that if we handle with machines, it becomes to a fight. Machines who take our jobs away and tell us, no, or listen to our conversation in privacy. Well, yeah, maybe it's a battle, but if we look at the movies, like, for example, Star Wars, machine and humans are working together. And to be honest, when we sent the Heureka team our presentation, and it was like, okay, who knows you better? I was thinking, yeah, that is an interesting question. It is. But more important question is actually, why? Why do we create machines like that? Why do we create machines where people are afraid of? Who knows us, like Facebook, maybe better than we ourselves? Now, you don't have to be a psychologist to ask yourself that or to create an answer. The answer is simple. We all of us want an inner well-being, wants to have a peace within us, wants to be happy, right? Not all the time, but at least it doesn't matter how much challenge we have, that we have a little, calm feeling in us. And that's why we create machines like we have already. And here just an example, like Google, for example. Everyone knows that Google knows how to become happy or happier. Well, at least they helped us to make more comfortable our life. Or like the tracking watches or chips or bracelets we have, who knows when we have to go to sleep, who knows when we have to go and stand up or eat. So yes, it's nice. It's cool to have sometimes. Or another example is the Da Vinci robot. It already, the doctors already in Berlin works with that, and it helps during the operation with wounds. So it helps that the wounds healing much more faster than with the human hands. So it's amazing what machines are doing and helping us. But the crux is, and then, we have to be honest to ourselves, the crux is the expectation that these machines are making us happy for a long time, that there's a sustainable happiness we reach through a machine. This is the crux, if we really believe that. And here is a guy, you all know him, Jim Carrey. He said one very nice quote. He said, "I hope everyone could get rich and famous, will have everything they ever dreamed of, so they will know that this is not the answer." And he's right. I mean, what we see right now in the world is we are looking for happiness through our external world, like, for example, shopping. We go shopping to make us happy. Or we expect that our partner is making us happy. Relationships are making us happy. We expect that sport is making us happy on the long term. Or the fame at work. But is it really so? Well, I didn't experience that. And, well, Daniel knows the answer.
Jutta, thank you very much. So the question, who knows us better, is probably something that humanity asked themselves over thousands of years. And Christian talked a lot about being, much more being. This is what we need, being, than just have something. So what I would like to do is to show you some people, and I would definitely say that are humans beyond the status quo, which trying to achieve something with humanity, which is showing us that there is such more thing in us happening than in the whole world around us. I mean, just look around this wonderful place. I don't know how much of you guys noticed it. Here, so many things are happening all the time. All the time. Naturing is showing us all the time things we don't see, we don't understand, and even we can't explain it. So the first person I would like to introduce is Sadhguru, Jaggi Sadhguru. This guy lived for years in the US, and since years he's now living in India. So what you see is he's looking like a mystic, like a yogi, someone we would say he's a wise man. And what he is saying is, as there's a science and technology to create external well-being, there's a whole dimension and technology for inner well-being. And what he founded is an organization which influence people worldwide, and they have a program called Inner Engineering. So you guys probably a lot of engineers. You guys going into that technology and you ask you a lot of questions all the time about some tricky things you can fix in the outer world with technology. And this guy goes directly in the other direction and says, hey, maybe we should focus more in us and let's find out what comes up there. So the next man, the next person, the next human being, and probably this is maybe someone you are much more familiar with, is Peter Bostelmann. Peter Bostelmann is the head of mindfulness officer at SAP, and since years he's running and engaging people to go more beyond the status quo right now, to sit in a room and meditate. How horrible for a lot of people. How horrible to accept that there's a silence in the background which runs all the time. And now we should ask ourselves, why is SAP, why is Bosch, why is some other big companies worldwide starting these programs? Google started a program called Search Inside Yourself 10 years ago. And they called and talked about mindfulness a lot. You have to know that SAP is catching up that form and now bringing that to Germany. And to be honest, I'm a little bit afraid about how we as a German culture going with technology, because we all still believe that the only way to expand, to disrupt, is to making other new innovations. The Silicon Valley, even though Christian said we should not focus too much on the US, and I totally agree. What they show us is that if you meet someone like in a chat having a coffee and you ask them, do you meditate or not? And the answer is no, this is a sign of, for the other, that it looks like you are not so smart as I am. I mean, this is the mindset in Silicon Valley. Why do they talk about that? Because what we see is in silence, there's a power. There's a power of creativity. Jutta mentioned that before. And if we are focused with a lot of challenges, if we have to solve a lot of problems, we have to be creative to find answers, to find new models, to find ways how to become happy even without going beyond technology. Another quite interesting thing is that if you start with things like meditation, mindfulness, and inner work, your emotional intelligence goes up. So the way how we interact with people is changing. You can feel more. So you may ask yourself, what is he talking about? I'm talking about that 80% of you guys are here in the mind right now. And you have these voices in your head talking and chattering the whole time. You're thinking about, what did I have to breakfast? Will I get late at the train? What are the meetings I have to prepare for tomorrow? This is what's going on all the time in your mind. No one is talking about that, but that is how it is. So I ask you, how can you be totally in that present moment when your voice is chattering all the time? And then mindfulness, inner work, and meditation comes in. And it goes over time, to be honest. It's not like you start and it's done. That is a lifetime process. Yeah. The third man, maybe you know him, Vishen Lakhiani. he founded Mind Valley. Who knows Mind Valley? Just a short Mind Valley, yeah? Cool. So Mind Valley is an organization which is running mindfulness, self-realization, spiritual training programs around the world. It's a B2C concept, interesting to know, so it has nothing to do with an organization. But I would like to mention that there is a big trend right now that people go out of the matrix. People don't listen anymore to what the government says, what the industry says, because they understand and see that there is so much more going on in their daily lives, in themselves, and they go to explore that. Yeah? And Mind Valley supports that via digital model, but as well, they have wonderful retreats where you can go for a month to a city and go to workshops each day to do self-realization workshops, to do yoga, to do meditation, and all that other stuff. And the most interesting thing is, you may think, wow, this is quite spiritual bullshit. I believe that the whole life is kind of spiritual, and of course, we can go into that. There is a whole way of exploring it and to see it on your own way. So it has nothing to do with the belief. It is just, you can find out. It is like if you start to learn something new in the external world, in the same way you can learn a lot of things in the internal way within yourself. The biggest challenge, what we have right now, is to go beyond our mind in the body, to realize that there is a full system which supports us to get information we don't see right now. Yeah? The Indian people, and the economy grows quite fast. The last 3,000 years, they explored a lot about the internal world. We in the Western world, in the US and Europe, we explored the external world. And now there's a shift, because what we see is that, as Jutta mentioned, we are not happy. A lot of people are ill. A lot of people have depressions, being not happy, going in other ways just to find a way to be happy. So what we can learn from the Indians, from the people which going a new way, is may ask ourselves, maybe there's more in us. And India, for example, and they do it quite well, they learning quite fast and good how to work the external world. I mean, this economy is growing so fast. In the next 5 years, they will be part of the big players in the world. Huh? Like there's the African continent, there's China. What is with Europe? Yeah? And to be honest, when I talk to leaders with other people about that, not a lot of people really understand what I'm saying. And let's see it as a wake-up call. The time to believe that we can fix every problems in the world just by thinking, it's over. So we have to start this journey within yourself. So we hear that. I probably have not to repeat again, but you can see it. Yuval Noah Harari, which has written Homo Deus, and a small story about humanity, is saying the same. If we just let the algorithms go and don't focus on ourselves, we will lose ourselves. It's not so important. So I would ask you again, human versus machine, who knows you better? Our answer is, and I would say, see it as just an inspiration. It's up to you. You have to make a decision to ask you maybe unpleasant questions and maybe go over some unpleasant state of mind. But beyond that, there's a lot of other stuff. So I would love to see much more founders, investors, business people just start to go into that way. Sit in a room with other people and meditate together. Have just 1, 2, 3 breaths. Discuss a little bit what's going on in yourself. You know what? The connection between us goes so strongly together, And the outcome, and there is an economy outcome as well.
Outcome.
Outcome is important. There is an outcome. Yeah. And the guys I showed you before, they not even just talk about like I do, and as Christian mentioned, they show you data, and the data shows the same. There is a whole process which we can explain today, what is going on with our mind, with our body when we start that process, that you see there is a value in it. Even though, and some of you maybe think about how we can make ethical rules when humans and machines living more together. And I would suggest the same. Let's go together with technology. It's not against, but to see that we as humans have so much more potential, but we have to wake it up. And then use it smart to build new business models, to make business. And in the end, be a little bit more happy with the things you have right now. So thank you very much. If you want to listen more about that, we have a nice podcast called Love Your Potential, the Mindful Business Podcast. You can find that on Spotify and iTunes.
Yes.
Our wonderful, lovely homepage, Love Your Potential. We will be here for a minute. So if you would like to discuss that more, feel free. Thank you very much. Jutta, thank you.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for this fantastic keynote. I'm wondering if the audience has, do you have any questions? Actually, I got some.
That's good.
Really good.
Mindfulness became such a big topic these days. Why is that?
Honestly, because we suffer too much. I would say that the suffering in the world, which is in us, drives us to a point where we are looking for new answers. And mindfulness is a quite impactful way, which was explored 5,000 years, 3,000 years ago. And it's, I would say, so valuable in the end to go on that journey. And to be honest, I would say that mindfulness is just a bullet word. And here in Germany, we call it Achtsamkeit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this word is not really cool. Yeah, it is like this. So mindfulness sounds a little bit more cool than Achtsamkeit. So we are still in the state of, oh no, Achtsamkeit is just like a little bit breathing. It's not cool. You'd like an esoteric guy. Let's don't talk about that. So
Yeah.
it's a lot about wording.
Yeah.
And on the same time, there's another reason, like people wanting more hype, want to performance more higher.
Yeah.
Like they want to focus more efficiency. So that's why they start with mindfulness and meditation. And I know some of people who, that was the reason why they started, and they find out that, well, there's much more behind it. I mean, it looks so simple, and it starts so simple, but in the end, if you do it like for 3 or 4 or 5 months, you see that there's a big dimension behind it, because you recognize so much more.
Yeah.
But it needs time, and it needs a condition, and the willingness to really look inside, also your shadow sides. And yeah.
There's one point, a wise man said once, meditation is like sitting in a fire. And to be honest, it is like this. It's not always fun. It's not like convenient. It's a lot of work, and sometimes it feels like sitting in a fire.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
There's a lot of, yeah. So let's talking honest, yes.
Yeah, so since you were talking about meditation, I do meditation every morning, and I just love to start my day with it. What would you recommend to anybody who wants to start with meditations? Are there any helpers? What can you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, there are really cool apps. For example, in Berlin, you have 7Mind, a startup, which is a very cool app. Or Inside Timer, that's also a nice app. So that was actually my start. And then there are like retreats where you get to learn the technique. For example, Vipassana. It's quite famous right now.
Yeah, and the retreat is probably a good starting point if you want to really empower your meditation. So one of the teachers I went to, you went to him as well, is saying that learning meditation is like skiing. And in the beginning, the first week, you don't appreciate being on ski. You're just falling, it's cold, you don't see anything. But over a while, you see the sun, you can enjoy it, and then it is fun. And it's like
Get
meditation.
addicted to it.
Yeah. So if you have a starting point for a week, for example, and you go over that, you can much more intensify and enjoy meditation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the teacher, it's important to have a teacher.
Yeah.
And in Berlin or wherever you are in the world, there are a lot of teachers. And then find someone which you trust, and your heart will say, oh, this is right or wrong. And if you feel it's not the right one, go to someone else.
Yeah.
So you would recommend if you start meditation, then do rather a guided meditation?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's much easier.
It is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And yeah, I see you later, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.